come to the section of our AGM now, which I'm not saying that our previous speakers weren't incredibly important, because they were, but we always say the most important people for SARI are our clients and service users. And we've now got some people who are going to just share a few insights who we've supported or worked with closely over the past year. And I'm going to start with Viveka is the mum of K-Dog, who many of you will remember was the young man who was run over outside Southmead Hospital in a racist hit and run. It took, I think it's 4 years, I've almost lost count of the years, to come to achieve some sort of justice. And again, I want to thank the constabulary who worked tirelessly 4 years. We were pushing and shoving and kicking, and Sarah and Claire know this, but they had to put a lot of resources into what was a very complex investigation. And that's why I bring jointly to the table Viveka and the senior investigating officer, Mike Buck, who did not give up for all of those years and worked hard internally and externally to get the solution, the outcome we finally did. I must say, Viveka is going to be tired. And I'll let you say for yourself if you want, Viveka, why. I'm amazed you're here, actually, you and Kavako today, because I know you've had a tough night. Again, not fair, but I hope everything's okay. So I'm going to start with a few words from Viveka. And if Mike, are you there? Are you there as well?
I am, yes.
Brilliant. And so let's hear a few words first from Viveka, and then I'll come to you, Mike, if that's okay, on your reflections on the case. Thank you. Viveka.
Yeah. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Alex, for inviting us. And unfortunately, as well, Katungwa was supposed to be here with us, but he's currently at the hospital. He's okay, but he's just going under through investigations. So, but he's all right. I mean, after this, I think I'm sorry, I won't be staying long as well. I'll have to go and join him at the hospital. Yeah. My name is Viveka, and I'm a mother of Katungwa and Kaweko, my daughter, sitting next to me. Say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. On July, the 22nd of July, 2020, the world was shielding from COVID. Our world was destroyed as my son Katungwa, NHS worker, was a victim of racially motivated and attempted murder attack. He was lucky to be alive, and this has not only affected him but our family, which we even now recovering from. So, sadly, as well, I lost my partner, Edward, who has been our support throughout the whole thing. And it was brought, without any doubt, it was brought by the stress and the pressure following this attack on our son, Katungwa. It has been a long journey for our family. The case, as Alex said as well, it took so many years. We have been like 4 years since then. And then from day one, when it happened, from the beginning, I was recommended SARI. Even that time, I didn't know what SARI was. So then someone gave me the contact number, and I remember it was on a Sunday. Then I just sat there with the phone number, and I said, gosh, should I ring or maybe just wait till Monday? And then I rang Alex, and then she picked up the phone. And then from then, I think the same day, the team came over. And then with Nanish, who's been our key worker from day one as well, they came over, opened the file. And from that day, we have been supported throughout everything. SARI become our home. And then even from that, even everything, because I was going through so many things and very worried about my son, and then with all the other things as well on the background, the media, the police investigations. Because I thought I would just have to be. This happened to my son. I'm just only worrying about his recovery and looking after him. And then little did I know that this investigation has to happen and all this, but SARI took over all that. And then they came to our support, and all the pressure was taken off our shoulder. And since then, we have been part of the family till today. I would really like deeply to thank SARI and the team, Alex and Nish, who has been our key worker, key support till now. And I can pick up the phone and ring Nish anytime, even if it's in the evening or anything, if we need him to be with us. Like for so many events we attended where we needed support, let it be even 8 p.m. or anything, Nish will be there. So thank you very much for that. We're really grateful for SARI to be in our life. The investigation, I would also like to thank the Avon and Somerset Police and the investigation team led by Detective Superintendent Mike. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, I maybe got your position right. Mike Buck, and the CPS team. And as well, I want to thank the police liaison officer, Rob Dillon, who has been also been supporting us since then. So lastly, I also want to thank the Bristol people and everyone who came to my son's aid. People, we had cards and everyone is all writing to us, and the whole Bristol stood together supporting us. And there was also a GoFundMe page was set up for my son, supported by everyone. And lastly, I would just want to let everyone know that we love Bristol. We love living here in Bristol. We love Bristol with its diversity, art, music, the sense of humor, the decency of its people. And we will continue to live in Bristol. We feel nothing but pity for the hate felt by these people who attacked my son. And they, as far as I know, they don't belong in the street of Bristol. And we are so lucky it has taken us this long, but the team, the evidence versus the team and the investigation team, they put every piece of evidence together. And I'm so grateful that we have come. It brought these people responsible to court and was worth the wait. Finally, as a family, justice is preserved. And we will bounce back. Thank you very much.
Alex, did you want me to come in there?
I do. I just want to say, Hivaka, honestly, your family and Mike probably back me up on this. You've been the most inspirational family to work with. Unbelievable, through thick and thin, through so many ups and downs that people can't even imagine, including losing Ed, who we all adored. And he was such a rock and he was as relentless as me, wasn't he? He was worse. He was brilliant. So thank you so much. And K-Dog, just to say, even though he couldn't be here anyway, he also said he didn't want to talk today because he feels like he's done enough talking. There's nothing more to be said, is what he said. And I want you all to know that. But Mum did. Mum, when it comes to mums, we never want to stop talking about what happens to our children. And thanks to Baka and Kaveko, you've been amazing behind the scenes. People don't realise what an amazing sister you are. And you're doing fabulously in your own rights. But I'm going to hand across to Mike.
Thanks, Alex. I won't take up too much of everybody's time this morning, but Hivaka, it's lovely to see you, and I'm really sorry to hear that Kay's at hospital. Please give him my best when you see him this afternoon.
Thank you.
I won't go back over the detail of what happened in July 2020 because you'll all know that detail anyway. But this was a truly appalling attack, and the cowards that did this to Kay when they ran away, faces covered, making racist remarks, is absolutely appalling. It goes without saying. And it was an attack which didn't just change the lives of Kay and Hivaka and the family, but we've talked about some other cases this morning. The impact was far wider, wasn't it? Because this this caused fear across the city, this aggravated division that the city was already feeling, because of course in 2020, as the chief referenced earlier, this was in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter uprising, the toppling of Colston, and the damage to the grave of Scipio Africanus as well, not too far away from Southmead, and of course the health inequalities that Nazir referenced earlier as well. So this was all happening at that time when everything was amplified in a really challenging way. But as we know, in September, 2 men were given prison sentences, 14 and a half years following the investigation, and it was tough. 4 years sounds like a long time, and it was a long time, and that wasn't kind of down to a lack of energy by my investigators. It was just really tough. There was no direct CCTV, there was no direct forensic evidence. We had to build a circumstantial case, threading together hundreds of strands of information to convince the jury of the defendant's respective guilt. And Alex, I mean, you said what a privilege it's been. It's been the privilege of my career to work with Hivaka and her family, and to get to know them, and of course Eddie, and we all say this because we were so fond of him. I was really pleased, of course, the criminal justice outcome was a positive one, but this case was always bigger than that outcome. So it's an honour to be invited today to your AGM, principally to thank Hivaka for placing her trust in my team, and to thank them for everything. The warmest people that you could ever hope to meet and work with as a detective. And you know, this case demonstrates all the things we've been talking about this morning, that standing up to racism and inequality is most effectively tackled when we do that as a team. And SARI were an integral part of this from my perspective. I don't think we would have secured justice. I don't think we would have locked up 2 dangerous people. In fact, I'm sure we wouldn't have done without SARI. Alex, your relentless challenging of me to push the limits, never give up. Ninesh's quiet counsel, always being there, providing advice and support. You know, even Ninesh being there for those nervous hours and days waiting for the verdict in the Crown Court. You were always there, and reliable, and with a friendly word of support. So that was appreciated. We did get the right result in the end, but we didn't get everything right. We very rarely do in policing. It's complex, and we make mistakes, and we made a few mistakes along the way in this case. And I hope that we've said sorry where we needed to, and we've learned from those mistakes. And one of those areas we didn't get it quite right was the care that we should have shown to you, Hivaka, when we broke the news to you of what had happened. And that's something I've talked to internal groups with inside the police, so that we take the learning from a lack of care that was shown that day, and it will always be a stain on this case, really. Alex, you said to think about some reflections. I suppose my first reflection is never let Alex Rakes get hold of your personal mobile number. It's a joke. I don't mind. But I suppose
Got mine as well, Mike, in fairness.
I suppose in my biggest reflection is we continue to write our police story in this space as well. And in our 40th year as a constabulary, I reflect a little bit on the contact that I've had with SARI over that time, 22 years ago. I remember it really clearly, Batuk being there when I joined the organisation in my initial training, and talking to me about hate crime, and talking to me about why race matters in police investigation, maybe in a way that I probably couldn't understand or recognise the true impact of. That's been a 22-year journey for me at this stage, and will continue to be a journey that I'm on. But there's a real responsibility now on senior leaders like me and my colleagues to make sure that reflection happens with our new colleagues that join the organisation as well, and to assure all of you listening to this that as kind of midline leaders in the organisation, me and my fellow superintendents, chief inspectors, we absolutely stand shoulder to shoulder with the chief in terms of that fight to go further to tackle inequality within our organisation, to tackle inequality in communities, to become a truly anti-racist organisation. We have to police in a way that recognises why race always matters, that recognises all traumas, particularly cultural trauma, and to provide a bespoke service that's tailored to the needs of every victim when they reach out to us for help. So yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say, Alex.
Thanks, Mike, and sorry for being part of Operation Relentless with you as well. No, honestly, I hope you get commended behind the scenes, and I think there was times when you were with us fighting for resources as well, when there were so many different priorities for the police. But thank you. You can see there that was a team, you know, Rebecca, K-Dog, Eddie and family, and Mike and Sari, and we did work very hard together. But the biggest accolade has to go to the family, because behind these results are incredibly courageous people who don't give up. And never really did we see them. You never got angry. I know you got upset, but my God, you've been so patient 4 years, not ups and downs, not knowing if we'd make it or not make it, but you stood by the side of justice, and also always thinking of others, always thinking about the wider community. And for those who don't know, look up K-Dog. He's done some amazing music, and he's actually written songs on his experience. He's a fantastic, inspirational person for all of us in terms of how he's responded to on behalf of others. So I'm going to I know we're slightly late, everyone. If you've got questions, can I ask you put them in the chat, or you can email us, and we can get answers from the police, from Claire Moody, we can try and get answers from Nazir as well, because I realise we're not going to have much time for questions today. I'm going to go along. Do we have Louise Jenkins with us today?
Yeah.
Great. Louise, you were going to say a few words as well. Another inspirational person who's come to SARI.
Hi. I just wanted to speak about my son's the justice that I've been trying to fight for my son's needs in school. I just want to acknowledge the tremendous support that I've received from SARI, especially Anna, who's been by my side for over a decade now. Her support has been invaluable, especially as my family has been subject to ongoing hate crime, not just against me, but against my children, especially my youngest son. My son has faced systematic discrimination at school. He's been racially profiled. He's been treated as a perpetrator, even when he was actually the victim of hate. This is something that no child should go through, but especially not a black child. Unfortunately, this pattern is one that I've seen again and again in Bristol, where so many black and minority ethnic children face these same barriers. My son has been suspended repeatedly, missing out on education, which has been one of the biggest struggles in our journey. Suspensions for nothing, just because he was perceived wrongly due to the colour of his skin. The system isn't just unfair, it's damaging for children's futures. And I was determined to not let my son fall through the cracks. For the last 4.5 years, I fought tirelessly for justice, for my son's education, for his mental health, and for his voice to be heard. One of the biggest challenges that we faced was securing Rishan's educational health and care plan is the HCP. The school didn't care about his needs. They just wanted to kick him out, label him as a problem. They didn't even want to acknowledge the support he requires. It was clear they couldn't be bothered. But I wasn't willing to let that happen. I know that my son's needs weren't being met, and I worked hard to advocate for him. I was told it was hard to get an EHCP, but I knew that my voice and a parent's voice was the only one that could make a difference, and I didn't give up. And through my determination, I was granted the EHCP, and he got the support that he needed. This was a very long and hard fight, but it was worth every step. My son was eventually diagnosed with ASD, it was this diagnosis that finally made clear the support that he needed. But it took years for the system to listen, and that's unacceptable. It should never have taken so much effort just to get a child the basic support that he deserves. With SARI's help, I have made numerous complaints, appealed decisions, fought against change, and that should have been made years ago. They've helped ensure that the school was held accountable. They've also supported me in panel meetings and writing letters to demand the right support for my son's education. Thanks to their support, I was invited to a Voice of Victims Day organised by South Gloucestershire Council, where I had the opportunity to speak directly to other leaders. This was a provisional moment, sorry, of my journey and sharing our story, connecting with other advocates and meeting professionals who listened to our experience and wanted to help. From that moment, doors began to open, and my son was able to even get a mentor through that network of support, who is now working closely with him. This opportunity has been life-changing for him. As a
Oh, we just lost Louise for a minute. We've lost Louise, haven't we, everyone? Not my sound. I think what I'm going to do, yeah, we'll just say a big clap.
Of my own advocacy, I also connected with other. Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I also connected with other parents at schools where whose children was also being suspended. What I saw was undoubtedly a pattern of racial profiling and discrimination. It wasn't just my son, it was other children, especially Black and minority children, were being treated unfairly. I realised the systematic racism was at the heart of the issue, and I wouldn't stand for it. Throughout it all, I made sure my son received the support he needed. I worked tirelessly to identify his additional needs and to ensure that he received the support he deserved. Even when the school was not providing it, the local council finally recognised that the school was not doing enough for his needs. And this acknowledgement gave me the strength to push even harder. It was finally someone listening and saying, yes, you are right. My son has now been officially diagnosed with ASD and he is receiving necessary support, going to be receiving necessary support in January. But this was not easy. It took years of hard work and obviously advocacy for talking on his behalf. It wasn't just about paperwork or a diagnosis. It was about fighting against broken systems that failed him and so many others. It's not just about the struggles, it's about the positive changes that has come from it as well. My son is not just going to school, he's also acting in short films where he's been working alongside Integrate UK in regards to knife crime. He was sharing also sharing his story. He also, my son's journey led him to Chatham House, where he had the opportunity to speak out about his experience of racism, exclusions, and the barriers that he faced from the very start of his education. He courageously shared how he's been treated and how it's been a pivotal moment for him in using his voice to advocate for others who are experiencing the same. Throughout his resilience and determination, doors are opening for him, and he's showing that he can rise above the challenges he faces. I've learned so much through this journey, and not just about his education, but also about the importance of advocacy and mental health. This is why I now want to pursue a career of educational psychologist. I've listened firsthand the impact of the lack of support that can have on children's futures, and I believe that I have the knowledge and experience and passion to help others. But we can't ignore the barriers that still exist. Despite these positive changes, my family continues to face challenges. We're living in an area where racial microaggressions are common, and my son's mental health and my two children's mental health has suffered as a result of stress and discrimination. The suspensions, the lack of support, and being ignored had a lasting impact on his mental health, mental well-being, and it's an ongoing struggle. But through it all, I will continue to fight for my children and for a better future where children are not disadvantaged because of their skin color or background. This is not just a story of struggles, it's a story of resilience, of not backing down or being heard, and for fighting for what's right. But it's also a reminder that the fight isn't over. We must continue to challenge the system, demand change, and ensure that all children, regardless of their background, are treated equally and fairly. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That was phenomenal. If you are able to, you could share that with us to put in the notes. I think other people, it's brilliant what you've written. And I think your case is a really great example of SARI also being intersectional. You've talked about race, you've talked about mental health, you've talked about other disability as well. And from SARI's point of view, that's one of the reasons it's so important for us to be there for all types of hate crime and all strands, because you can see how all of that comes together, doesn't it, and impacts on each other. But wow, what courage, what bravery, what an amazing mum. You're going to be one of the reasons why he's also shining so bright and doing so well. And you've also, as I said, been representing your son and others with so many things. And Louise, honestly, I think you can see everyone is totally and utterly moved by what you've just said. Thank you. And I think you'll be sending a few other people into tears in a minute, but well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It really means a lot.
Thank you.
For all of you, I know we're running late. We've got 2 more people to speak on behalf of our clients and who we've worked with. For those of you who are willing to wait on, I'll do my report and the annual report at the end. So the delayed bit will be that bit, which I consider is slightly less interesting and less important, because we have to sort of do that. But I'm going to now invite another amazing person, and Louise, you may also draw some strength from listening to speak about her experience as well, also linked to the education system and her son.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. Louise, I just need to say that actually I'm really saddened to hear that my story sounds so similar. And it's upsetting. It's upsetting that we are where we are today and we're still fighting the same problems.
Yeah.
I firstly apologize if I sound like I'm at work. I've tried to rewrite this speech so many times and it still sounds like I'm not a mum, I'm at work. So bear with me on that one. I just want to say hi to everyone. Thanks for having me. And these are my views and experiences of the education system and how that I've experienced them with my child. I'm really honoured to be here today and to share my story, although it saddens me that I'm now using SARI as a service user as opposed to working with them. I've previously worked really closely with Alex in South Bristol and we've done some fantastic bits of work. So I had a really good background understanding of SARI, but this personal experience was completely different. It was probably one of the most challenging points of my life as a parent, and I've definitely been through some. 3 children, 3 EHCPs. I feel you, Louise, it's hard work. I completely respected SARI and what they did. And as I said, there was never a day that I thought that I would need them personally, but that day changed. The day my son was racially abused at school. The incident was really upsetting on so many factors. The first one that upset me was the dehumanization of what he was called. And it was only brought to light because my son retaliated. As a parent, that was so really difficult to process. Why had he not told me? This was a week after the incident. I definitely felt a failure as a mum that day. The thought of my child holding on to this for a week and not speaking to me. Why hadn't he spoken to me? Did he think this abuse was something he just had to accept? Again, I questioned my ability as a parent then. What had I done so wrong that he accepted what had been said? But when school informed me of the incident, their actual focus was on my son's retaliation. It was a minor physical altercation rather than the racial abuse that provoked it. My fear there was personal. I'm personally aware of the discrimination within the criminal justice system, but how on earth did I explain to a 10-year-old, please don't retaliate? Not purely because violence isn't the answer, and I definitely don't condone violence, but my fear of what would happen to him as he became an older black male within society. The fear that I have of letting my children out on the streets just to be children, just to do what teenagers do. Obviously, he's 10 at the moment. The next one up is 13. Then there's 23 and 28. So I do have that fear. I have that ingrained fear of what could happen when they're out on the street, the racial profiling, the stop and searches. School I needed school to understand actually my level of emotion and tears was not because I was upset. It was the frustration. It was the absolute frustration that school didn't understand. I needed them to understand that the retaliation came from years of oppression and discrimination that people of colour have suffered, and the labelling that happens to people when they stand up for their inequalities. I definitely understood the need of consequence for any form of violence. Violence has no place in our society. However, my question to school was, what led to this? Why was my child pushed to this point? And how was school not addressing the root cause, the racial abuse? I found myself in a battle trying to make the distinction between bullying and hate crimes. Both are absolutely unacceptable, but a hate crime carries a deeper weight. It's not just a school policy issue, it's a societal issue, a criminal offence. Whilst the school was supportive in some ways, they stopped short. I felt they stopped short of calling out the racism. Their stance was they kept telling me, but we're not racist. And I told them, that's amazing. I'm really pleased you're not racist and you shouldn't be racist, but you need to be anti-racist. We all need to be actively confronting and dismantling racist behaviour. As I shared what had happened with some of my close friends who were parents at school, I actually learned that another child, that same child had racially abused another child, my friend's child. The school treated each incident as an isolated incident rather than recognising a pattern. This reinforced my belief that more needed to be done, not just to address the incident, but to educate and prevent them. At this point, I was actually so upset that I did reach out to SARI for guidance. I was questioning everything. I couldn't question my professional work. I asked Alex, have I got it wrong? You know, what I'm doing within my professional life, have I got it so wrong? Am I overreacting? Alex reassured me that actually this happens a lot within the professional sector. That's when we were introduced to Jake. I don't know if he's on this call today, but if he isn't, then
In Australia.
please make sure that he's aware. His support was extraordinary. He asked me what I wanted to achieve and explained what was possible. He brought clarity, explaining the framework of schools as he had great experiences working in schools within behaviour. This and how incidents like this fit into the broader picture of systemic racism. Jake worked really closely with the school and the police, filing the necessary reports while ensuring the focus was on education and prevention, not punishment. I didn't want anybody punished. The last thing I wanted to do was bring criminal charges to anybody. He also helped the school to understand the gravity of the situation and gave a talk to the year group, which has brought some positivity. Importantly, Jake's approach wasn't just about my child, but the other child as well. We discussed where such harmful language might have originated and the support that the other child and their family might need. Hate doesn't emerge in a vacuum, and education is the key to breaking the cycle. Through all this, Jake's professionalism and empathy were invaluable. He kept me informed and listened to me when I just needed to vent, and sometimes I just needed to cry. He acted swiftly despite the challenges of school schedules and holidays. His understanding of both the educational and legal system made the difference. As painful as this was, it also reinforced the importance of SARI as an organisation. Not only they supported my family, but also worked to create a broader change within the school community. I say to everyone now, please don't be unsure about reporting a racist incident or any hate crime. I urge you to speak up, no matter how small it may be. Every report is a step towards addressing the issue and preventing escalation. The only way we can work together is to create a world where there is no place for hate. I want to thank Jake and Alex and everyone at SARI for their unwavering support. Your work transforms lives, not just by addressing individual incidents, but by challenging systems and shaping a better, fairer society. I thank everyone also for listening to my story and for being part of this vital cause. I hope one day we can build a future where there's no place for SARI, but until that day, I'm so thankful that they are here. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my God, it's another absolutely amazing speech. Both of you, you all need to be in politics, go and become councillors as well. Amazing. If we can have a copy of that, but no, up to you, but I'd love to, again, put that into our report for today. And, you know, you're a tireless campaigner in your own right in South Bristol, as saying, normally it's on the other side of the fence, advocating fearlessly for many other people. And that makes it really hard when people like us have to go for help, because we spend most of our life fighting for others, not accepting support to help us fight. But thank you for letting us be by your side, because together we are stronger. You know more about who we are now, even though you already knew, you now know differently. And I just know together we're carrying on fighting, won't we, to make that difference. I'm sorry it had to be you and your son. I'm so sorry. But yeah, look at another amazing mum, everyone. And I just, yeah, this SARI's clients are just so amazing. And I just want to say, reflects the fact that we've got people coming to us from every background, from our frontline staff in the NHS to chief execs, to the Mayor of Bristol, Marvin, when he was in position, he had to come to SARI 3 times. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, whether you're Martin, who's a solicitor, being a solicitor doesn't stop him also facing disproportionality. So thank you. I'm sorry for running over. I hope you don't mind, everyone. You know, if you have to grab food, we're not too much further away now, but I have to let speak. Just kindly agreed to say a few words. Is somebody who's not a client, but is working on one of SARI's projects with our outreach and development workers in the Somerset area. So I'm really pleased and proud to welcome to say a few words on behalf of the AHAN network.
Hello, I'm a student, a 15-year-old year 11 student. I met SARI and AHAN when they came to my youth group, and I was then reached out to by Jeannie and Abby and asked if I would speak here, and they said that Alex wanted me to talk about my experience with hate, any advice for service providers, and how to address the types of hate you and others experience. I've had 2 friends since primary school, and they are both like mixed race but perceived as black, and the amount of racism they experience in Somerset schools is abhorrent. I was talking to them the other day and I wrote down 2 pages full of notes of what they experience a lot, which vary from teachers to students to bus drivers, just everybody. They just feel so isolated because it feels like nobody's got the time or the energy or just the will to help them. It goes from students and bus drivers bystanding racism, and that teachers may be unequipped to deal with racism. Students are expected to forgive racism. Students are, when they are faced with racism, the teachers are more, they would rather hear the perpetrator's side than theirs, and are just expecting the students to just put up with it. There are 7 black people in year 11. That is of a year with 300 people in. There is no black teachers at Norton Hill. The school has 1,500 people in, and I think 12 black people altogether. There is no representation. They don't feel safe reporting racism. Teachers think that it's above their pay grade, and then they get called liars for reporting it, and they get accused. People say that it's not worth their time. It's not worth reporting. In the space of 2 weeks, incidents happened, and my friend Scarlett got called a dramatic for bringing it up, and that she should just drop it because it happens so much and it's just not worth it anymore, which is ridiculous. There are racist group chats. There is just abhorrent things written on tables and on walls that are just left there. And I really, truly believe that there needs to be a serious discussion in PSHE or anything about the etymology of words, especially slurs, because the R word is just so normalized there. And it would be here, but there is nobody. There's, I think, 3 black people in my year, but my school's a lot smaller than theirs. There also needs to be so much more cultural awareness. In a few months ago, apparently a teacher said, do-rags make you look like a terrorist, colourful do-rags to be specific. There is just so much wrong with that, and it's so hard. They've had friends be racist towards them. It's really ridiculous. There is no end to it. School continually say that they will bring SARI in, and then they never do. I don't think they've ever been met to SARI. They may bring them in, but they don't talk to the students. The school also focuses on punishing the perpetrators and then just moving on. There's no care for the victims. They just seem to not care. I really believe that just every type of hate happens because people are just ridiculously uneducated, and that this is all so preventable. So let's prevent it. Why haven't we yet? What's going on? The system is so screwed up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You've got some amazing comments in the chat boxes, including everyone should have a friend and ally like you. And if you're representing young people today, then there's definitely hope. I feel encouraged. Thank you. We are really lucky to have you on our AHAN network, Anti-Hate Ambassador Network, which Janine is fiercely pushing forward. You've said you want a young AHAN network, and we are very keen and pleased to be able to support you on that. So thank you for joining SARI in our, can I say, crusade drive. Join in Operation Relentless with the rest of us to see what we can do. And you're coming in from the middle of Somerset, which is an area that we know is really tough when it comes to tackling homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, racism, hate, all types of hate crime. As much as we do how tough it is getting out in our particularly rural communities, which is one of the reasons we're online today. Otherwise, we couldn't have all of you joining from across such a wide area.